Every organization, according to their business rules, users has to take certain approvals before the logic is implemented on the record. According to the organization rules, user have to take the approval from the user approvals before any logic is implemented. Let us take. Now, you want to join the course. Now, reception told 12,000 is the payment. Now, you are looking for a concession. You asked, I want some concession. Now, reception is, we told reception, boss, you can give the concession up to 2,000. The final fees, what you can grant from your end is only 10,000. Now, if you ask for 2,000, she can give a concession up to 2,000, make the fee as 10,000. Now, if you are looking for more than 2,000 rupees, reception cannot take a decision. She was not authorized to give concession of more than 2,000 rupees. If she want to give a concession of more than 2,000, she has to speak to the admin people. We told the admin people, you can give the concession up to 3,500. Now, if you want more than 3,500, the admin people also cannot give a concession. They have to speak to the management. Now, what is that? This is the business rule what we have set. Now, if any reception want to give concession of more than 2,000 rupees, she has to take an approval from the admin team. And if the admin team says yes, then only she can give the concession more than 2,000. Now, what is this? Before you perform the logic on the record, before you perform the logic on your record, if you want to take any approvals, if you are supposed to take any approvals, before you perform the logic, then we go for approval process. Then we go for approval process. Now, when you are saying approval process, let us take another example. Now, let us take another example. If it is you are applying for a leave, if it is one day, you can report your TL. You can take the permission from your TL. You can take a 1 day break. Suppose if you are planning to take a 1 week break, then it is not only TL permission, you also require the permission of your project manager. Now, if you are planning to take a 20 days or 30 days, then it requires more approvals. Am I right? Now, your TL is allowed to sanction a leave of 1 or 2 days. If you want to go beyond that, he also has to take the approval from the corresponding project manager, then give the approval to you. Now, what was this? This is a process of approval. Before the logic is applied on your record, certain approval should be taken, which is called approval process. Now, what is the navigation for approval process? Look at this. Setup, build, create, workflows and approvals, approval process. Setup, build, create, workflows and approvals, approval process. That is asking. Choose the object. Choose the object what you want. I have chosen customer object. Done. What is the process of approval? Jumpstart wizard, standard setup wizard. Jumpstart wizard, standard setup wizard. What was that jumpstart wizard? It is a single step process. If you want to define approval process in a single step, in a simple process, we call it as jumpstart wizard. Single step, simple process. Single step, simple process, we call it as jumpstart wizard. Single step, simple process, we call it as jumpstart wizard. Now, what is that standard setup wizard? In case you want to create approval process, single step approval. In case if you want to create a single step approval or multi-step approval with complex process, then we go for standard setup wizard. If you want to create a single step approval or multi-step approval with a complex procedure, then I go for standard setup wizard. I hope you are clear. Setup wizard, jump start wizard, single step, simple process. Standard setup wizard, complex steps, complex process with a single step or multi-step is called jump start wizard. I have chosen this. So on the customer object, we are creating a approval process. Now, what is the name of the process? Let's see. New customer approval. Then specify the entry criteria. Specify the entry criteria. Now, which record can I submit for approval? Which record I can submit for approval? Which record I can submit for approval? There are two things. Records which are meeting this condition, only they can be submitted for approval. Records meeting this condition, only they can be submitted for approval. It's called entry criteria. Which records need to be submitted for the approval process? It is the entry criteria. Records which are meeting this condition, only they can be submitted for approval process. How can you define the condition? There are two ways. One is simple process, other one is complex process. Simple process is defined using criteria. Complex process is defined using formulas. Now, entry criteria. If you want only a particular records to be submitted for approval, if you want only a particular records to be submitted for approval, then we define entry criteria. Records which are meeting this criteria, only those records can be submitted for approval. I can define the condition in two ways: simple process or a complex process. Simple is criteria based rule, where city equal to Hyderabad, industry equal to banking, simple process. Complex rule, formula based. Complex rule, formula based. We can go to formula based. Complex rule, formula based. Now go back here. Now, if you say, I don't have any condition, every record should be submitted, you can leave it blank. It's not necessary that every time you have an entry criteria. Now, I want every record can be submitted for approval. Then there is no entry criteria. In case if you have any specific condition, only those records should be submitted. Then I will define entry criteria. It is not necessary that every record will have entry criteria. It is not necessary that every record will have entry criteria. Okay. I give a condition here. City equals to right. Only when the city equal to Hyderabad, we can submit. Now, do you want to automate the approval process? Automate means when I submit, if you remember well, we already have hierarchical relation. Do you remember that? What is that hierarchical? User to user. So on you, your manager, your reporting manager, your hierarchical manager, your sales manager. We have created hierarchy, choosing any one of the user as your relationship. Now, when I submit, record has to go to my manager. When you submit, record has to go to your manager. We want to route the record to the corresponding person. Whoever is submitting the record to his manager, we want to submit. Whoever is submitting the record, we want to send the record to his reporting manager. Whoever is submitting the record, we want to send the record to his HR manager. So what was this? If you want a record to be automated to particular person, particular field, which field? Hierarchical field. Whomever you are selecting as your manager, to that person it has to go. Then we give it as what? Then we give it as, I told, send it to sales manager. Whoever is submitting to his sales manager, regional manager. Whoever is submitting, record will be submitted to his regional manager. So do you want to automate it? You can give. No boss, I don't have any automation. In the last step, I'll decide to whom I have to submit it. It is not automated. It's not automated. I have a specific user. Submit to Satish only. Submit to Ravi only. Then I'll give user. Here, submit to the person whom you have selected as manager. Submit to the person whom you selected as regional manager. Whoever is submitting to their regional manager. Whoever is submitting to their HR manager. Whoever is submitting their sales manager. Are you clear about this? Am I clear? Okay. Now, listen carefully. Who is the manager of Sham? Let us say Ravi is the manager. Now, Sham submitted the record. When the Sham submitted the record, to whom the record will be submitted? Sham submitted the record of so who was the owner of the record? Divya is the owner of the record. Sham submitted the record which is owned by Divya. Now to whose manager record will be submitted? Is it Sham manager or Divya manager? Sham submitted the record of Divya. Sham submitted the record of Divya. When you say Sham submitted the record of Divya, to whose manager record should be submitted? Divya or Sham. Now, whoever is submitting the record, to his manager record will be submitted. Who is the manager? Ravi. So when Sham submit the record will go to only Sham's manager by default. But I say, boss, let anybody submit the record. Record has to go to the record owner's manager. Right now, whoever is submitting to his manager, record is submitted. I don't want the record to be submitted to submitter's manager. I want the record to be submitted to record owner's manager. Then what I will do? We have a checkbox here. Manager. Submitter manager. If I enable this, record owner's manager. I hope you're good. If I don't select this, it is a record submitter's manager. If I select this, record owner's manager. Record owner's manager. Okay. Next we have record editability properties. What are these record editability properties? Here, the moment you submit the record is going to be logged. The moment you submit the record is logged. Who can edit the data in the record? The moment you submit the record is logged. Who can modify the content of this record? Again, I repeat. The moment you submit the record for approval, automatically record is logged. Who can modify the data in the record when it is logged? You have two options. When I choose the first option, only administrator can modify it. If I choose the second option, administrator and currently assigned approver. Now administrator can modify the data, or to whichever the approver you have submitted, he can also modify the data. Now when I submit the record, to whom? Who can edit the record? Now it is administrator only. No, admin and currently assigned approver. Admin and currently assigned approver. I hope you are good. Am I clear with this? Now, once a record is logged, who can modify it? Step number 4. What is step number 4? Okay. You decided to submit the record to me. But how do I know that record is submitted to me? When you submit a record to me, I should be informed that record is submitted to me. Okay. Take it for approval. Give a response. How would I know record is submitted to me for approval? You have to inform me that record is submitted for approval. Take a call to approve or reject it. Then how will you notify me? There are two options. One is email template, sending an email or else posting a chat. In how many ways we can notify the approval? Boss, once a record is submitted for approval to you, how would I notify that record? I am sending a record to you for approval, approve or reject. How would I notify? By using email template or chatter post. Then select the fields on approval page. Once you submit the record, which fields you can see? Once you submit the record, which fields you can see? Once you submit the record, which fields you can see? Look at the point. I can see the list of it. There are 40 fields. Do you want to show all the 40 fields to the approver? Not necessary. Whatever the data that is sufficient for me to approve, if you show me the data, it's okay. Whatever the data that is required to approve the record, if you show me it's sufficient. If you show me that it's sufficient. So just show me the list of fields which are required. Show me the list of fields which are required to approve it or reject it. Then show me the history. What is the next one? Approval history. What was this approval history? Approval history. Once you approve the record, once you reject the record, once you submit it, you are going to approve it, you are going to reject it. Once you approve the record or reject the record, I have to know before submitting the record to me, to whom else you submitted. Before submitting the record to me, to whom else you submitted. What is the call they have taken? Did they approve it? Did they reject it? If approved, why they approved? Rejected, why they rejected? So what we want to do? Before the record is submitted for approval, we want to know, before the record is submitted for approval, we want to know the reason why record was approved or rejected. The reason why record was approved or record is rejected. If approved, why it is approved? Rejected, why it is rejected. I hope you are clear. Am I clear? So before the record was submitted to you, what is the reason for approval? What is the reason for rejection? To whom else it is submitted? You can see here. James Smith submitted. Before the James Smith submitted the record to Chris Coleman has approved it. Now before the record came to Vicky Huffman, it was sent to Chris. Chris has approved it. Who has submitted? James has submitted to Chris. Chris has approved. Then he has submitted to Vicky Huffman. Now what is that? Before the record is coming to me, to whom else the record was submitted, what is the approval they have taken? I hope you are good. Now, we have approval history. Security settings. Okay. You have taken a decision to approve the record or reject the record. You have taken a decision to approve the record or reject the record. When you have taken a decision to approve or reject, when you have taken a decision to approve or reject the record, when you have taken the decision to approve or reject the record, how will you approve it? How will you reject it? You have taken a decision to approve the record, reject the record. But how will you approve it? How will you reject it? So there are two options here. One is log into the Salesforce, approve it. Other one, approve it from wireless devices, from your mobile application, from email. Through email you can give a reply, from chat. If you choose the first option, log into Salesforce and approve it. If you choose the second option, approve it from Salesforce, okay, or wireless devices, email, mobile, or chat. Approve from email, mobile, and chat. Approve using email, mobile, and chat. I hope you are good with this. Am I clear? Yeah. Then we have specify initial submitters. What do you mean by specify initial submitters? Who can submit the record? Who can submit the record? Specify initial submitters. Who can submit the record? Who can submit the record? Now, is everybody is allowed to submit the record? I told boss, only these people can submit. Only this particular person can submit the record. Specify who can submit the record. Specify who can submit the record. Specify who can submit the record. Then page layout settings, submission settings. Right. I hope you are good with this. Now all these are what? First phase of submission. Let us do everything from beginning. Let us understand it clearly. Choose the object. Choose the object. Then specify the wizard. Specify the wizard. Then they'll ask you step number 1. Step number 1. Process name. Specify the process name. Then once you enter this, step number 2. Step number 2 has entry criteria. Specify entry criteria. Please mute your mics. Admin. Specify the entry criteria. Now this can be defined using criteria based rule or formula based. You can go with the criteria based rule or formula based rule. Then step number 3, automation. Choose the automated approver. Now, if you want to submit to whom? Submitter or then second we have record editability. Record editability. Admin or so step number 1, process name. Step number 2, specify the entry criteria. Step number 3, specify the automated user. If you want to route it, if you want to automatically route it, we can specify. If you want to route it, you can specify automated user. If you want to route it, we can specify. Then we can say. Then approval, notify the approval. How do you notify? Email template. This is step number 4. Step number 5, the main step. Approval page layout. In the approval page layout, first one, choose the fields. Choose the approval history. Security settings. What is the security settings? How do you approve it? Login. Salesforce page or email. So on the approval page, which field should be displayed? Do you want to show the approval history? Then how do you approve it? Can I approve it from Salesforce page or Salesforce page or email or chatter? How you want to approve it, or mobile? Then finally, in the step number 6, what we do? Choose the initial submitter. Choose the initial submitter. Add the detail page of the record. Callback. So this all deal with the first phase of approval. That is a submission phase. That is submission phase. On the object, choose the wizard. On the object, choose the wizard. On the object, choose the wizard. Standard set of wizard or jumpstart wizard. Then step number 1. What is the name of the process? Label it. Step number 2. Specify which records can be submitted for approval. Step number 2. Specify which records can be submitted for approval. Now I can give the rule based on criteria, or I can give the rule based on formula. Step number 3. Do you want to automate you want to route it? Automatically submit the record to manager, your personal, reporting manager, then specify. Choose the approval routing. Choose the approval routing. So we are giving submitter or submitter or owner. To whom the record should be submitted? Then record editability. Once you submit the record, who can edit the record? Because the moment the record is submitted, it is going to be logged. The moment the record is submitted, it is going to be logged. Once the record is logged, who will be able to modify it? Admin or admin and approver. Step number 4, notify the approver. How do you notify? By using email template or chat of post. Step number 5, once you submit the record, approver want to approve the record or reject the record. Then when you open the page, which fields of the record should be displayed? Do you want the history to be displayed? Then how can you approve or reject it? That's what is given in step number 5. So approval page layout, which fields? Choose the approval history. Go for the security settings. How can I approve it? Can I approve it from Salesforce or can I approve it from Salesforce and mobile and chatter? How can I approve it? Then we are going with step number 6. What is step number 6? Specify the initial submitter. Add the approval history to detail page. Callback action. I hope you are good with this. This is all what? First phase of approval process. I'll do it on the screen. Look at the point. First, setup, build, create, workflows and approval process. Choose the object. Standard setup design. Next. Specify the criteria. City. Equal to header. Then automated routing. You want to route it to anyone? Manager or sales or regional? No, I don't want to route it. I will decide later. Record editability. The moment record is submitted for approval, who can edit the record? Only administrator. Administrator currently is an approval. How you want to notify? You create one email template. Choose the template. Then, which fields you want to display? Which fields you want to display? Show the approval history, security settings. Show the approval history, security settings. What is the security settings? What is the security settings? How can I approve the record? Reject the record. If I choose first one, allow approvers to access the approval page only from Salesforce. This one is from Salesforce and externally wireless enabled devices. Next. Then, who can submit the record? I told student can submit the record. Should I add this approval history to the detail page? Yes. Callback action. This all is what? First phase. I hope you have reached the page clear. Right, boss? Okay. Once you submitted, they're asking approval steps. This is a submission phase. That should be submitted. Now the approval step. Who has to approve? How will approve? If you approve, what will happen? Reject, what will happen? If I call back, what will happen? Finally, what is approval? This all will be defined with the. Do you want to create the approval step now? I told no. I will do it later. This is the definition. Submission phase. Then what we have here? Initial submission action. The moment you submit the record, automatically record is logged. Apart from locking the record, do you want to perform any other action? The moment you submit the record is automatically locked. Apart from locking the record, do you want to perform any other action? That is given as initial submission action. Once the record is submitted, how will you, what is the action you want to perform? Initial submission action. What is it? Initial submission action. Once the record is submitted, what is the action we have to perform? Initial submission action. Okay. What are they? Task, email, field update, outbound message. Let us say I want to make field update. Now I gave, I'm making inactive. Once the record is submitted, I am going to make active as inactive. This is what initial submission action. Approval step. It can be a single step or multiple step. Approval step, new. Approval step. Now they're asking, whichever the record you submitted, every record should go to step number 1. Every record you submitted, should it go to step number 1? Or only those records which are meeting this condition, they have to go to step number 1? Every record that is submitted, should it go to step number 1? Or only the records which are meeting this condition, they have to go to step number 1? If I say every record should go to step number 1, then the concerned user has to take permission, approval for every record. Every record need to be approved by the guy. Now I told whichever is meeting this condition. Now the records which are meeting this condition, they are submitted for approval. Remaining records, directly approve it. If anybody is asking for a loan of, if anybody is taking a new admission, and fee is less than 10,000, then send it to the admin people for approval. If it is 10,000 above, directly approve it. You don't require any approval for it. If it is more than 10,000, directly approve it. If it is less than 10,000 rupees, then it should be approved by manager. Now I told, if anybody is taking qualification less than BTech, directly reject it. So I gave a condition. Records which are meeting this condition, they will go to step number 1. Records which are not meeting the condition, they can be automatically approved or rejected based on your choice. Every record should come to step number 1. Should every record come to step number 1, or only specific records has to come to step number 1? If every record, all records should enter this step. No specific, enter this step only if the following condition is true. I'll give the condition. If the condition is true, they'll go to step number 1. Condition is false, directly we have approval. Right now I told every record should enter this step. Now, who is the approver? I will choose the approver manually. At the time of submitting the record, I will choose him manually. Right now I am giving this option. Okay. Now, you submitted. When you submitted, record may be approved or record may be rejected. If approved, what should I do? Rejected, what should I do? You submitted to him, he may approve it, he may reject it. If he approve, what should I do? Rejected, what should I do? So approval action, rejected action. I told, if the record is approved, enable it. Record is rejected. I'll send the email alert. Boss, your record is rejected. Okay. Approval action, reject action. First, let us complete till here. Activate. Now, go back to this. Customer. I can choose any one of the existing customer. I told if city equal to Hyderabad, what is the city? Got Chennai. Now I am submitting the record for approval. Unable to submit because it's not meeting criteria. So only the records which are meeting the condition, they can be submitted. Submit for approval. Then ask me, to whom you want to submit. Because at there I told I will submit the record manually. At the time of submitting the record, I told I will decide to whom I want to send. That's the reason I have chosen submit the record for approval manually. At the time of submitting the record, I will decide who should be my approval. Submitted to Satish. So record is submitted. Once the record is submitted, what happened? Record is logged. Who can modify the data in the record? Okay, depends upon the option what I give. I give an option there. Only administrator or administrator and approval. Now what was this? Approval? Now, student submitted the record to Satish. It is in the pending state. Now, how does the Satish know this? Go to the home page. If I open the home page, on the home page, what you are finding? Items to approve. Records which are submitted to you. Records which are submitted to you, they are given here. Then, I am able to see a list of fields. Then approval history. Approve it or reject it. Record is approved. Then checkbox is activated. Unlock the record. I hope you are good. So what happened? When the record is approved, automatically logic is applied. What is the logic? Modify the value of active. Activate the customer only if it is activate. Okay, if it is approved. When a new customer is created, activate him only when he is approved. Only when he is approved. Are you getting my point? Okay. Let us go to the process. I hope you followed this process. Somebody created the record, submitted. When he submitted, automatically the record will come to approver. Approver will take a decision to approve or reject it. Now, go to the approval process again. I am making a modification here. Should all the record enter this step? No, not all the records. Only records whose annual revenue is greater than you want every record to submit. Previously I submitted, every record came to approval. Now I told not every record. If annual revenue is more than 50 lakhs, then only submitted. Now what is the annual revenue we had here? I gave 20 lakhs. Submit for approval. If it is more than, I submitted, right? If it is more than 50 lakhs, it will go to step. Otherwise, directly I told reject. I gave a condition. If the records are meeting the condition, submit to the approval. Otherwise, directly reject. Are you getting my point? Because I choose and reject there. Records which are not meeting the condition, I gave reject. So the records are rejected. Do you want every record to go to step number 1? You want every record to go to step number 1? Then say all records should enter this step. Not all records. I am going to give a condition. Records which are meeting their condition, only they should be submitted for step number 1. Rest of the records can be approved or rejected as per your choice. Okay. The next one. Now, record is submitted to me for approval. Record is submitted for me, but I have a problem. Record is submitted. In my absence, who will approve it? Record is submitted to me for approval. In my absence, who can approve it? I told you. My delegate can also approve it. Any record that is submitted to me on my behalf, my delegate also can approve it. So what was that? Go to user. Satish. Record submitted to Satish can also be approved by his delegated approver. Who is your delegated approver? Any record that is submitted to Satish. What did I do, boss? Go to approval process. Edit. Next. Here I told who is my approver. Then I told your delegated may also approve it. If I enable this only, your delegated can approve it. How are you setting your delegated approver? Go to the user. On user, we have a checkbox. What was that? Delegated approval. Choose it. Right. Now, any record that is submitted to Satish, it can also be approved by I have an issue here first. Let me make it open IP. What is the issue? She don't have access to all the records. What I can do? Okay. Now come back. Student modify the record to 70 lakhs. 70 lakhs. Then submit the record for approval. I told choose the approval as Satish. I have chosen the approval as Satish. Record was submitted the record to Satish. Pending with Satish. Now who is the delegated approver of Satish? Divya. So on behalf of Satish, Divya can approve it. Which is the record I submitted? 008. So go to Divya. No. Record was submitted to Satish, but who approved it? Divya approved it. You can see here. Student submitted the record to Satish, but Divya approved. How come Divya approved this record? Okay, because Divya was a delegated approver. On behalf of Satish, Divya approved. Are you getting my point? So we are submitting the record. Do you want every record to go to step number 1? If yes, do it. Not every record. I have a condition. Records which are meeting this condition, only those records should be submitted for step number 1. Rest of the records should be approved or rejected. Then we have criteria. Give the condition. If the records are meeting the condition, they will go to step number 1. If the records are not meeting the condition, automatically records will be approved or rejected based on what you choose. Now on my behalf, I want my delegated person to approve it. Yes, we can specify it. I hope you are good. Okay. Now, what is the option I have chosen? Right now, the option what I have chosen is I told let me choose. I will choose the approver. I told I will choose the approver, but I don't want to choose my approver. I want it to be routed automatically. So what I'm doing for student, scroll down. Who is this? The general manager. Who is the regional manager for student? Satish. Go to the approval process. No, I told. Who is your automated? You want to route it? Yes. I want to route it to. So whoever is submitting, record has to be submitted to is regional manager. Whoever submit the record should be submitted to his regional manager. Now what I'm doing, I told automate it. Send it to my reporting manager. Send it to my reporting manager. So once you go back to this, submit the record. Still not activated. 1 minute. Okay. Now go back to the record. Open it. Submit the record for approval. Still the same record is coming. There's some bug. Let me fix it up. Okay. In the approval step, go to the approval step. Next, I told which record should go. Then I told automatically assign to. Previously we don't have this option, right? Because I enabled there, we got this option. Then go to the customer, submit the record. When I submit the record, did I ask who should be the approver? In the previous case, I told I will choose manually. That's why when I'm submitting the record, they ask me who is your approver. But now it is not asking me who is my approver because I told automatically route it to my manager. To whom the record was submitted? Satish. To whom the record was submitted? To Satish. Are you clear about this? Are you clear about this? So what we are doing? We are automatically routing the record to some hierarchical field. We are automatically routing the record to some hierarchical field. I hope you are good. Okay. Now, people have followed this condition. Okay. Next one, look at the point. You submitted the record. When I submitted the record, if anything goes wrong, can I call back the record? This is an option. What is that? Recall, approval, record. The record which I submitted, I am calling back. Record submitted, recalled. Let us do one more approval process from beginning. Probably you understand step by step now. Setup. build, create workflows, approval process. Choose the object. Customer approval. Specify the condition. I told if customer is active. What was this? Entry criteria. Records which are meeting this condition, only they can be submitted for approval. How many ways I can define? 2 ways. Criteria based or formula based. Criteria or formula. Go to next. Now, what was this? Automated routing. If you want the record to be submitted to some hierarchical field of you, whoever is submitting the record, I want the record to be submitted to his hierarchical field, his manager, his sales manager, his regional manager. If you want to route the record to his hierarchical field, then I will choose here. Now to whom? To the submitters manager or record owners manager. If I enable this, record owners sales manager. If I disable this, record submitters sales manager. What was this? Record editability. What do you mean by record editability? Once a record is submitted for approval, automatically record is logged. When the record is logged, do you want the record to be modified? Who can modify it? There are 2 options. Only admin can modify it. Only admin can modify it, or admin and currently assigned approver can modify it. Only admin can modify it. Admin and currently assigned approver can modify it. Only admin or admin and currently assigned approver. Okay. Next. So how do you notify? How do you notify? We will notify the approver. How do you notify the approver? There are 2 ways. One is by sending an email. Other one is by charter post. We have not done the charter post yet. Next, which field should be displayed on the record? Once they submit, which fields of the record should be displayed here? Which field should be displayed? That approval history. Approval history. Now, security settings. What was the security settings? Once you submit the record for approval, how would I approve it? How would I approve it? Can I approve the record from Salesforce, or can I approve the record from Salesforce and wireless devices? Wireless means email, charter, mobile and web. Okay, mobile. Next. Who can submit the record? Specify who can submit the record. Should I display this on the detail page of the record? Should I show the history? On the detail page of the record, should I show the history? This one. Add submit for approval button on approval history as a little list. Can I call back? If something goes wrong, can I call back? Allow submitters to call back approval request. Okay. Should I create the approval step? No, I will review it. When you review it, initial submission. The moment the record is submitted for approval, what is the action that should be performed? By default, record is logged. Apart from that, you want to do any action like email, field update, outbound message, task, we can do it. Approval steps. Step number 1. Name of the process. Step number 1. Wait. Do you want every record to go to step number 1? Then choose. No, only the records which are meeting the condition, whatever the condition I am giving, where I gave city equals to Bangalore, Hyderabad. Records which are meeting this condition, only they will be sent to step number 1. If records are not meeting this condition, else not meeting the condition, approve or reject. I told reject. Now, who is your approver? I can choose approver manually. At the time of submitting the approver, I can choose him manually. Automatically route him, assign to a queue or assign to a particular person. Assign to a queue or assign to a particular person. Now I am assigning to Satish, assigning to how many people I assigned? 2 people. In a single step, if you assign the record to more than one person, it is called parallel approval process. In a single step, if you submit the record to more than one person, it is parallel approval process. In the parallel approval process, there are 2 choices. One is approve or reject based on first response. Approve or reject based on first response. Now when I submit the record to 10 people, whoever is giving the first reply, that is finalized. When I submit the record to 10 people, whoever is giving the first reply, the decision is final. When I submitted to 10 people, one of the person told, send a mail, approved. Then automatically record is approved. So whoever is giving the first reply, that is a final approval. Second one, require unanimous approval. Require unanimous approval means everyone has to approve it, then only record will be approved. Everyone has to approve it, then only record will be approved. Let me activate it. Divya, submit the record again. Divya, submit the record. When Divya submit the record was submitted to student and Satish. Now it is what? Parallel approval process. When submit to both of them, student, when student approved, still the record is, because you have chosen what? Unanimous. Unless both the people approve it, record will not be approved. Go back to him. If both the people approved, then only record is approved. If you are submitting the record to more than one person, it is called parallel approval process. In the parallel approval process, one of the conditions is what? Let me show you this. What was that? Require unanimous. If I choose the first option, based on the first response. Again, Divya, submit the record. Submit to student and Satish. Student gave first response. He told approved. Automatically record is approved. Why? Whoever gives the first reply, it is the final decision. Whoever gives the first reply, it is the final decision. Now again, what was the condition here? Parallel approval process. If we submit the record to more than one person, then whoever gives the first reply, his decision is, I told student again, reject. I hope you are good. So what was this condition called? Parallel approval process. If you want to submit the record to more than one person at a time, that is called parallel approval process. In the parallel approval process, how many conditions we have? 2 choices. First response or unanimous response. First response means whoever gives the first reply, it is a final decision. Whoever gives the first reply, it is a final decision. Unanimous means everyone has to approve the record. then only record will be approved. I hope you are good with this. Right. So remaining will continue in the next session. So there will be number of steps involved in this. So go through it, do one or two examples, you will find each and every step. Okay.